Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about being a failure as an artist. What does it mean? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And how it affects us. And what's made me want to talk about that topic is this piece. I didn't really know what I was doing throughout this painting, and I felt like it was a good process to have recorded and show you. So with that, let's get started. So at the start of this painting, I really wanted to focus on skin tones, and I was really inspired by an artist online. I saw that they had an underpainting. It's a solid blue colour, saturated blue, and that was showing through where the brush marks hadn't quite filled in that colour. I felt really inspired by that one image, and I wanted to try out something similar, see if I could do it myself. And spoiler alert, the answer is I couldn't. The result I had just didn't work for that regard. Now, you know, you've seen the final image. Whether you think it's a good image or not is entirely up to you. As a practice, it failed, in my opinion. It didn't achieve what I wanted it to. Did it work as a painting? I think it's okay. I quite like it. I think there's something about it which is quite nice. There is some different colour dynamics in there that I haven't done previously with skin, so I think that works quite well. But overall, it's nothing really to shout about, I would say. But that's not really the point. The point of today is to talk about failing, what it means for you as an artist, and how you should treat it. Now, from my experience, and this is really only my experience, you may have a very contrasting opinion depending on who you are as a person. But for me and several artists I have seen and know, failure is terrifying. I've never wanted to fail as an artist, and that's awful. You should fail as an artist. There's no arguments there. Any professional would always say you have to fail to improve, and I'm sure you already know that. But whether you've come to terms with that and are actively seeking failure is another discussion. So looking at myself, I am a professional, at least I like to think so, and I hate failing. I try to avoid it as much as possible, so I actively try to seek out little wins where I can in paintings, try to guarantee a win. Now, what does that result in? Well, it tends to result in a piece that I know I can achieve, quite a boring result, something that I've done probably several times. Because for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I've spent my time trying to find a reliable practice, a reliable process that I know clients can rely on. Because you don't want to fail when a client asks you to create a painting. But you do want to fail in practice, and there is a difference. But I have always been terrified of it. Every painting I've associated with self-worth, and worried that if the painting went wrong, then that's a reflection on me as an artist. And I think there's a real problem with that attitude in general with art online. So how many artists that you love, so choose your favourite artist that's currently working, how many times have you seen them say the painting was a complete disaster? Probably not too often. You do get some artists that are great at that, and they admit when they're having issues, they admit when they're having bad days, and I find that actually makes me like them more as an artist, makes me like them as a person. But quite often, we don't see that online. Quite often we see a more professional lens to people's websites or their Instagram or their YouTube channels even. We tend not to get artists say, "Oh, I'm having a terrible week, I'm filled with self-doubt, nothing I'm doing is hitting the goals I've set for myself." Because for you to be that honest, you're opening yourself up for people to mock you essentially, or for employers to see it, and it's viewed as not being particularly professional. But the issue with it, it's resulted in a higher and higher standard being expected from people that aren't in the industry. So junior artists that are coming in looking at all of these people's work, not understanding that everyone has these worries, and just assuming that they're godlike artists and they're almost not human. And they're just producing these mind-blowing paintings day after day, always to the same standard, never having a bad day. So essentially the point I'm trying to make here is that take everything you see online with a pinch of salt, because it's often in an artist's interest to put a positive spin on what they're producing. So you see their highlight reel. That's the point I'm making. Every artist's work that you see online, you're seeing their highlight reel. And it's the same problem we see with people's Facebook accounts. People take photos when they're in a good, happy, shiny location. They're all smiling with their family. They don't take photos when they're angry with their partner or their kids throwing a tantrum. We only see the highlight reel. So going back to myself with this painting, because I am quite terrified of making errors, quite often it stops me from taking bold choices. Often I end up trying to manage my way to a better painting. So I started off this piece with that bold blue colour. As you can see at this point, it's entirely gone, and I am now relying on a process that I've used 100 times. The piece started off differently, which means I'm working with a different set of variables, I guess. And I think that resulted in a worse finish, because I'm not used to this as a process. I'm trying to almost get back to my original process. And that's a problem. I think I should have embraced that process entirely and failed miserably. But I didn't want to. I wanted to end up with a piece. You can see at one point I start using the mixer brush to start blending my brushwork. Again, it's a process I've used before. That's what I dislike about this painting, is it's a reminder that I didn't really take many risks, and I think that's what we need to do as artists to improve. The interesting thing with art is that everyone is at a different standard, and everyone's eye is at a different level and can perceive different levels of negatives and positives with paintings. So you may be watching this piece and saying, I don't understand why he doesn't like this, this is great. You also might be looking at it saying, yep, you're completely right, this is god awful, you should have started again. It really does depend on where you are in your creative journey, essentially, which sounds really lame, but it's true. And I think the one thing to take away from that is that you're always going to be chasing a better skill set. You're always going to be thinking that your art is rubbish and that other people are better. If you don't change your mindset of worrying about where you are, hating where you are, being really negative, connecting it with your self-worth, you're going to have a really tough time. Even as a professional, when you reach the levels you can only dream of currently, if you're still in that mindset, you'll still be looking at the next best person and you won't enjoy the skill that you have. So if you are that person, the best thing you can do is look at your old work, look at work from a year ago or 2 years ago, and there should be a huge improvement. Hopefully that will remove a little bit of that fear. You've improved, you've been there, you've done it, you know what you're doing now. Just keep going, keep embracing the failure as an artist, and you will get better. So this may have come across as very negative in its entirety, and that's definitely not what I intend. I want it to do the opposite. I want you to think about what you're really afraid of if you are scared of failing as an artist. And I don't mean failing as in never becoming a professional, I mean with each piece. Are you okay with failing? Are you okay with having a day working on a painting and it just does not work? Hopefully you are, because you're going to have those days. They are unavoidable, especially if you're just starting out. They still happen to me now. I'm sure they'll happen to me for the rest of my life. Just a part of being an artist and trying to strive for more. I think it's really funny as well when you actually think about what failing means for an artist. Painting, a digital painting no less, didn't go to plan. Those pixels didn't end up in the right place. So what? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just art. We do it for fun. Obviously, you're doing it for the end goal of a job, which brings its own stress. But remember why you started. You started art because it's fun. So try to keep it that way. I'm at the point now where I know I can produce certain images. They're not to the standard I want them to be, and that's what I'm trying to reach. But I'm also trying to do new techniques, trying to get new processes. And with that comes risk. So I need to embrace that. I need to be okay with failing. And as I've shown here today, currently, that's a work in progress for me. And I imagine for a lot of you, it's going to be the same. So don't take this as a negative of how hard art is and that failure is going to happen and it sucks. The way I want you to view it is that it's okay to fail. It's a good thing to fail. To embrace it. Try to put a positive spin. Every time you fail, every time you get something wrong, view it as an opportunity to learn, as an opportunity to grow. And if you do that, you'll be a fantastic artist. And that's where I'm going to leave it here today. So thank you very much for watching. As I've mentioned in my last couple of videos, I have started a Discord where you have a chance to talk to me, get some feedback on work, and it's a growing community, and everyone in there so far has been absolutely amazing. So if you've already joined, thank you very much. And if you are interested in joining, the link will be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching if you've made it this far, and I will catch you in the next video.